Our work stems from the dramatic increase in the prevalence of obesity and type 2 diabetes across the world. And Ireland in particular is actually predicted to be the most obese European country by the year 2030, which means we're going to keep seeing a rise in the occurrence of type 2 diabetes. And this, of course, has tremendous implications for the healthcare system. As such, there's been a big push for industry to produce new food products or ingredients that are capable of improving consumer health within the context of diabetes or dysregulated blood sugar levels. And we often refer to these ingredients as bioactives. So given Ireland's strengths as a leading dairy and beverage producer, our research looks for bioactives in dairy products that are capable of improving blood sugar control. In a healthy individual, a rise in blood sugar or glucose, for example after a meal, causes the cells in the pancreas to produce the hormone insulin. Insulin then signals the cells throughout the body, in tissues like muscle, to take up or clear the blood sugar, bringing levels back down again. However, a common side effect of being overweight or obese, which many people are, is an impairment in this process, which we call prediabetes or impaired glucose tolerance. This is defined as the body's inability to fully clear blood sugars from the circulation, partly because the cells in the body don't respond properly to insulin, and partly because the pancreas doesn't respond as well. Importantly, if this isn't corrected, the problem can progress into diabetes, where the pancreas is simply not able to produce sufficient insulin levels and leads to dangerous health complications. So what we do here in FHI is to find dairy bioactives that are able to improve blood sugar control, with the hope that obese or overweight individuals could consume these bioactives to help reduce their risk of developing diabetes. And our search for dairy-based bioactives spreads across several interconnecting areas. Firstly, since prediabetes or impaired glucose tolerance often involves a compromised ability of the pancreas to maintain efficient insulin levels, we look for bioactives that can increase the release of insulin from the cells in the pancreas, which are called beta cells. This thereby increases the strength of the signal that tells other tissues to clear blood sugar. And not only do we look at this at a cellular level, but we also do human studies to assess insulin levels after someone eats or drinks our bioactives. Secondly, we look for bioactives that promote the uptake of sugar into tissues in the body. And it's important to note that muscle is specifically responsible for taking up most of the sugar in our bodies, and muscle does this in response to the signal from insulin or exercise. But this insulin-dependent process is hindered in prediabetics with impaired glucose tolerance, almost as if the signal from insulin is lost in translation. So we look for bioactives that can help muscle take up blood sugar, and again we do this in both cell and human models. Interestingly, this process is also important in the recovery from exercise and sport, so there is potential for these dairy-based bioactives to have a role in recovery for athletes as well. Our third area of interest is obesity-associated inflammation, since overweight pre-diabetic individuals tend to have increased inflammation throughout their bodies, and especially in their fat tissue. And essentially, this inflammation interferes with the signaling going on in other tissues like the pancreas and muscle. So you can think of inflammation as being a block in the telephone line from the pancreas to the muscle. Therefore, we look for bioactives that can reduce inflammation to help repair the body's signaling and communication. Finally, we work to identify the lowest effective dose of the dairy bioactives in human participants in an effort towards efficient product development and commercialization. Milk is a great source of proteins and bioactives, which carry out a variety of functions in the body. And our overall hope is that this research in FHI will aid in developing ingredients that can help people reduce their risk of developing diabetes without having to resort to medical interventions.